The Charlotte Congregational Church's cutting-edge streaming service, CCC Max, an offshoot of HBO Max, continues the gripping series First Kings, a drama featuring struggles between power and faith, romance, revenge, murder, obedience, sex, surrender, and love. Previously, on First Kings, Elijah's new prophetic ministry wasn't going well. The monarchy in Israel was brand new. It was a questionable effort to calm the people and control the crazy prophets. Surely they thought a king, a ruler, authority would be able to quell the protests and silence the radical fringe. King Ahab married Jezebel, played incidentally by Lena Headey of Game of Thrones fame. She's a foreign princess who worships the Canaanite god Baal, not Jehovah, Israel's God. Ahab was enthralled with this sexy, dangerous, alluring, somewhat forbidden fruit, and he was willing to grant her many favors, not the least of which was to worship Baal and not Jehovah. Elijah, the newly crowned prophet, taunted the prophets of Baal. "Let's see what you can do," he challenged. "Bring on some real storms, you storm god. Real proof that you are God, that your God Baal is real." And though the worshipers of Baal turned themselves inside out, trying to get Baal to act, nothing happened. So Elijah built an altar, prepared a sacrifice, and prayed to Jehovah, and immediately fire fell from heaven, consumed everything, and all who were gathered proclaimed that Jehovah was the real God. As we turn to today's episode, Jezebel is furious and disgraced and vows to kill Elijah. We see that Elijah flees for his life out from under their jurisdiction, out from under Ahab and Jezebel, to Beersheba in Judah, where he collapses, exhausted and depressed, deep in the wilderness. Away from the immediate threat, however, he feels no relief. He is disheartened and deeply depressed. If you have ever been so afflicted, you know how relentless depression can be. No matter how desperately you want it to end, controlling it seems impossible. At the risk of being overly simplistic, there seem to be two fundamentally different kinds of depression, with admittedly a myriad of variations therein. One is clearly a mental illness that requires appropriate medical, therapeutic, and spiritual care. The other is what I would call appropriate situational depression. Depression can get a bad name. Sometimes it is entirely reasonable reaction to strife and hardship and loss. We should be depressed when things go wrong. We should, like Elijah, find a little shade and curl up for a while. Go easy on ourselves and rest. We tend to get alarmed at the mention of the word depression and compound our malaise with a fear that it will overtake its victims and never go away. The kissing cousin of depression is shame. Not only is Elijah exhausted and depressed, but he blames himself for being a failure. He says, "I am no better than my ancestors," suggesting that for all he's worth, he might as well be dead. He beats himself up for not being as successful as he should have been. As a side note, whenever we hear ourselves say the word should in relation to our own behavior, we'd best stop in our tracks. I'd like to see a new commandment that says this: thou shalt not should thyself. Our words for contemplation this morning speak to this. They are the opening line from a British punk band named Idols, and the song is Television. And it starts this way: if someone talked to you the way you do to you, I'd put their teeth through. Love yourself. I'm going to do it again. If someone talked to you the way you do to you, I'd put their teeth through. Love yourself. We're all guilty of this. We beat ourselves up in a way we'd never let our friends do to themselves. Love yourselves. Don't be so hard on yourself. How many times have you said to someone who's doing this, it's not about you, or try and let this go, or you did the best you could, it's not your fault. We need to love ourselves into wholeness and well-being. What the song says is that if we heard someone speaking to you in a shaming, derogatory way, we'd effectively punch them in the face. Elijah is shoulding himself and totally wrapped up in self-blame and shame. But while he is sleeping, an angel visits him and gives him a loaf of warm bread and a jar of water. It's important to see that he is not given the fatted, slaughtered calf or a chocolate eclair with a drizzle of raspberry coulis. It's just a loaf of simple bread and some water. And the angel says, eat, drink, which he does, and then he goes back to sleep. And then again the angel encourages him to eat and to drink, to fortify himself for what lies ahead. It's a pretty basic directive, isn't it? Take care of yourself, or you won't be able to face what lies before you. If it's a mountain that you need to climb, moving forward starts small, one step at a time, a bite of bread, a drink of water. I attended the Putney School in southern Vermont for high school, and every February, all the students and faculty took a week off to go on special trips. Some went to Manhattan, to the museums. I chose, much to my parents' dismay, to go camping and hiking in the White Mountains. It was cold. It was really cold, and sometimes I doubted my ability to make it up above timberline on Mount Lafayette and Mount Washington in February. But I talked myself down from panic and focused on the footprints of the person in front of me. I just needed to put my boot in that print and move forward step by step. It wasn't an overwhelming goal. It was small and it was manageable, like eating a chunk of bread or having a drink of water. We can get down on ourselves for not doing enough, can't we? For not being enough, for not accomplishing enough. We live in a culture of more and greater, and it can feed our self-doubts and our feelings of inadequacy. Our cultural reaction to success is to grow. If a business is successful, expand. Open another factory, open another restaurant, take the band on the road, plant more acres, buy more cows, make more of what the people want, which can lead, of course, to failings and burnout and negative social media posts. Poor Elijah was not only the brunt of Jezebel's rage, but also he was condemned as the messenger of God who brought often unwelcome prophecies. He just needed some simple care, as we all do. The same is true, I think, of faith. We don't need faith so as to move mountains. We need just what Annie Lamott calls lunch money faith. Just enough to get us a bit down the road, enough for lunch, enough to give the day, the relationship, the task, another chance. The flip side of this is that we all need to give one another exactly this as well, to love one another. Eat some bread, drink some water, sleep so that you can serve others in just the same way, just like the angel. There have been many examples of this in the Olympic Games, athletes making small gestures with huge consequences. Here's one that maybe you saw. American Isaiah Jewett was about to finish second in the men's 800 meters when he became entangled with Botswana's Nigel Amos, and the two collapsed on the track. Jewett said, "It was devastating, I'm not going to lie." So what did he do? Did he curl up like Elijah? No, he immediately reached back to help Amos up. Amos apologized, and Jewett just said, "It's okay, man, let's finish the race." It wasn't clear whether Jewett had been tripped by Amos or if Jewett had tripped himself. But they got up. Jewett slung his arm around Amos's shoulder, and the two finished the race. When they got to the finish line, Amos stepped back to give Jewett a one-stride lead, with Jewett finishing second to last and Amos last. Sometimes bread for the journey is an apology, a hand up, forgiveness. Elijah was visited by an angel, but had to be still to feel the touch and hear the voice. What the angel said and did wasn't revolutionary or prophetic or brilliant. It simply spoke of love and care. Have some bread, rest a bit, and the way will be made clear. A way, no less, than to the city of God. God sends angels to speak to our hearts, to soothe our troubled spirits, to light a path to our future where we will need strength and courage and passion to envision a world transformed by love and peace. So rest up. Have some bread. The world is waiting for you. Grace and peace.